can you still hear us?
Yeah.
Perfect. Good evening, my name's, all set? Good evening, my name's Mary Maslowski. I'm the Chair of the Historic District and Historical Commission for the Town of Harwich. We are going to open our hearing for Wednesday, September 27th, 2023. The meeting is being held at 732 Main Street in Town Hall in the small hearing room in Harwich Center. According to Mass law, anyone who intends to record the meeting must first notify the chair. Is there anybody intending to record the meeting? Okay, hearing none. We'll start with a roll call. We have one member who is remote. Bob Doan?
Bob Doan here.
Brendan Lowney.
Lynn Zalisak.
Julia Eldridge.
Right, so we're going to open our first public hearing of the evening. It is HH 2023-15. It is the Town of Harwich as the owner, through the agent, Kara McWhinney, Director of the Harwich Cultural Affairs. She has filed a certificate of appropriateness. The project proposes a new sign for the Harwich Center Cultural District. The proposed sign will be located at 702 Main Street, map 41, parcel B9. Good evening.
Good
evening.
How are you?
We are well. Thank you for coming this evening.
Thank you for having me. So if you may or may not know, in January, Harwich received 2 cultural district designations, one for the center and one for the port. And with that are our wayfinding signs. These are provided by the state. It's branded so that all cultural districts throughout the state of Massachusetts are basically an indicator that no matter where you travel and go look, you can find them by these signs. We are asking for approval to install one at Exchange Park and Brooks Park. They would be served as wayfinding signs and boundaries so that we can start our marketing. And that's our first year goal, is to really get our signs in place and get people aware that this is happening and this is a thing.
Great, and could you just state your name and...
Yes, so Kara McWhinney, Director of
Thank you.
Cultural Affairs.
Any questions from members of the board about the sign and where the sign is going to go?
You're showing us muted here. I can't hear you.
You cannot.
No?
Yeah, the mic is not muted.
You might have automatically did it when you started it.
There you go. Thank you.
Sure, I'm not sure why that happened, Bob, but... Kara, I hate to ask you, but could you redo your speech for us?
Sure.
For Bob's edification?
Absolutely. So Kara McWhinney, Director of Cultural Affairs. So the state of Massachusetts gave Harwich 2 cultural district designations back in January of this year, Harwich Port and Harwich Center. These signs are to serve as boundary markers and help us with our wayfinding maps that will be throughout town. We are asking for placement in Exchange Park and Brooks Park, which will serve as 2 premier locations essentially for marketing purposes so that people understand where Harwich Center Cultural District exists. And we hope to invite visitors by these signs.
So, let's see, we have... So I don't think... Just as a point of, I think we listed 702 Main Street in the ad, but I don't think the Brooks Park one was listed in the ad.
15 and 16, I believe it is.
Because we have 702, which is Exchange Park.
Mm-hmm.
Correct, so I...
And 1 Oak Street.
And 1 Oak Street.
Oak Street is listed.
Yeah, but I'm looking at
Yeah.
I'm looking at the advertisement,
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
and oh, we did, so we have it as a separate application.
Yep.
So that's why. Okay. So, any questions? Julie? Lynn?
Is that the only design?
This is the design for Harwich Center. Yeah, this is all that they are allowed.
I'm all set.
Bob? Can you see the sign, Bob?
Looks good. I have it in the packet.
Okay.
So the sign looks good, and location. I think that picture at the Exchange Park, it is out of, it's not going to really be that big, I hope. I think it's just a scaling issue on that picture, maybe.
That would be correct.
Okay.
Agreed.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I'm fine. I'm good.
All right, do we have any questions from the public?
Everyone loves it.
Hearing none. Is the board ready for a vote? If
Yes.
so, the chair would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
All right, Linda's made a motion, it's been seconded by Julie. All those in favor, we need to do a roll call vote. Julie,
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I need to say
Yes.
your names. So Julie has said yes, Lynn has said yes,
Yes.
Brendan has said yes, Bob has said yes, the chair also says yes. So 5-0, we have closed the public hearing. Who would like to take a stab at the application and the decision?
Motion to approve case number HH 2023-15, filing date of July 18th, 2023, hearing date of September 20th, 2023.
That,
Yep.
and continued to today, we're the 27th.
Oh, I'm sorry, and continued to the 27th of September 2023. Property 702 Main Street, map 41, parcel B9, town of Harwich. BK recording number is 9770, page 21. This is a certificate of appropriateness. The description of work is to add a new sign at Harwich Center. Certificate of appropriateness is the finding. The proposed construction alteration will be appropriate or compatible with the preservation and protection of the historic district. Determination approved, no comments, no conditions.
So we'll take a roll call vote on the motion as read by Brendan. Julie?
Approved.
Lynn?
Approved.
Approved.
Brendan? You have to, it's a roll call vote. You have to let me say your name. Bob Doan?
Approved.
Oh, it's because
All right.
Bob's not here.
The chair says correct. The chair approves as well.
Understood.
So that motion carries 5-0. 9/27/2023. Okay, so now I will, I believe our next one is exactly the same, but we will open the public hearing for HH 2023-16, Town of Harwich owner through their agent Karen Mawhinney, Director of the Harwich Cultural Affairs, who's filed a certificate of appropriateness. The project again proposes a new sign for the Harwich Center Cultural District. The proposed sign will be located at 1 Oak Street, map 41, parcel C6. And just for the record, one more time.
Right, so the Harwich, Karen Mawhinney, Director of Cultural Affairs, we sought out the cultural district designation with the state of Massachusetts in January. We received the designation for Harwich Center, and we are looking to have our maps, or our signs installed at Brooks Park at 1 Oak Street
Great.
for our wayfinding and marketing purposes.
Perfect. And any questions from the board?
None.
No.
Any questions for you, Bob? Can you still hear us?
No.
Perfect. Any questions or comments from the public? Hearing none, the chair would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
So motion's been made by Julie. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Lynn to close the public hearing. A roll call vote. Bob Doan?
Approved.
Brendan?
Approved.
Lynn?
Approved.
Julie? And the chair votes in favor as well, so motion carries 5-0. And then we will, who would like to do the
Go ahead, Brian.
motion?
Motion
Brendan
to
again.
approve HH 2023-16, filing date July 18th, 2023. Date of hearing, September 27th, 2023. Property, 1 Oak Street, map 41, C6. Owner, Town of Harwich. BK recording information, 9770, page 29. The application is a certificate of appropriateness. Description of work is to add a new sign in the Harwich Center Historic District. The findings is a certificate of appropriateness. The proposed construction or alteration will be appropriate or compatible with the preservation or protection of the historic district. Determination is approved. No comments, no conditions.
So we'll take a roll call vote. Julie?
Approved.
Lynn?
Approved.
Brendan?
Approved.
Bob?
Approved.
And the chair approves as well. So motion carries 5-0. Phew, all set.
Thank you so so much.
Thank
Have
you.
a great night.
Yep.
You as well.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's do the other. All right. The next matter on our agenda is a public hearing for HH 2023-17. Nancy Hanron, owner, has filed a notice of intent. The project proposes a full demolition to construct a new single-family dwelling. The structure is a historic building according to the Town of Harwich assessing records and is located at 38 Ocean Ave, map 6B, parcel H1-2. If you could state your name for the record, please.
Nancy Hanron.
Welcome.
I need to sign in.
Yes, please. So if you would go through your application for us.
I'm here to get your feedback on the proposed plans to replace the current house with something similar and roughly the same footprint. It's important in that area.
Okay.
Mary, did you get the email?
The one from Leisha?
Yes.
Yes, we'll read it into the record. So you're looking to demolish it in its entirety or
Full amount.
partial?
Entirely.
Okay, Brendan, do you want to start?
I can start with just a quick question and then maybe jump to Mr. Doan, but height, is there an increase in height?
Sure, come forward. Please just state your name for the record.
Tom Carlone, 11 Ocean Avenue, Nancy's neighbor,
Okay.
an architect,
Okay.
and no change in height, as Nancy had mentioned, essentially the same building going down,
Okay.
aesthetically.
Yeah. So really, it's staying on the footprint, double dormer, structural ridge. I appreciate the attention to detail to almost mimic what's there. So thank you for that.
Nancy's original intent was to keep the home as is, and just put a basement under it, modernize it, make it year-round, and augment the structure. As you guys know, the history of the campground, a lot of the homes have kind of migrated over time from seasonal cottages to something more. And then in conjunction with our general contractors, Dan Speakman, who couldn't be here this evening, and through our evaluation of it structurally and every other aspect of it, we thought it would be, in the long run, more efficient for Nancy to create the same home with modern materials, adhering to the energy code and all that. But the footprint is essentially the same. The dormer is just to add a little room in the bedrooms upstairs as opposed to bumping your head, and porch on the north side of the structure.
And it currently doesn't have a foundation under the main structure, just under the porch?
Just concrete block.
Yeah, just concrete block.
So I'm just looking at the east elevation, so is the porch going on the second level? Is that what I'm seeing on the, because when I'm looking at the proposed elevation, or is that a whole addition?
No, the house as it is L-shaped as it is now. The porch is where I have my little stick figure of a person's scale.
Yep,
That's just a little open deck. It's not a foundation, just beyond sonotubes, and just to give protection from the rain as you enter the side door.
yeah.
So taking the footprint of the deck and the structure and launching straight up.
Okay.
Yeah.
It is taller though.
It is
that's
tall,
my
that
point.
section,
That
yes.
section is taller.
Mhm.
Back section.
And that's all, I was just having a hard time seeing
Yeah,
it.
that goes all the way up where the ridges will touch.
Gotcha. Brendan, did you have anything else?
I mean, it's tough to see a house like that go. It's nice to see drawings that complement what's there. So it's another tough one in that neighborhood, but I'll let everyone else talk.
What's physically wrong with it?
Well, there's a
Where
variety-
is it falling apart?
It's on its way. It's an older structure. The framing that they used once upon a time, not unlike my own house at 11 Ocean Avenue, the framing members are too small based on today's framing standards. Their frequency, in other words, 16 inches on center is 20-something inches on center. So there's no foundation, which is actually what originally, drew Nancy to get this process started, is to just create a foundation and stabilize the house. But in conjunction, as I mentioned, with the general contractor and structural engineer, who's not here this evening as well, we determined that it would just require too much reframing. It would be a better or more efficient solution for Nancy to have a newly framed house. And it helps her meet the modern energy code too. I don't know how familiar you folks are with the energy code, but it's every year it gets a little bit more difficult to achieve with a 2x4 wall cavity. It can be done, but it's certainly simpler to do it with modern building materials.
I look at this and I see a house that stood for over 100 years that actually looks in very good condition, and I would really hate to tear something like that down.
Yeah, I crawled around and under it, and it's certainly been there. It's survived the test of time, no question about it. But it's in need of some tender love and care. Nancy recently purchased it, and she intends on taking good care of it. And the materials that we'll use will be in keeping with what it is now, as far as wood shingles and architectural roof shingles and things of that nature. Very essentially what it is as it is now, just newer and easier to maintain for Nancy.
Julie?
I just have a couple questions on the, this picture.
Section.
It's hard to read, but it looks like there's some stuff that will be staying. It's tough to read, but it
Yeah,
says something,
The drawings, of course, have been reduced in size, so I apologize, I don't have a magnifying glass to read that.
it looks like existing sheathing to remain. Does that sound right? Is that
Yeah,
right, Brendan?
I-
Do you see that, Brendan?
At one time, the plan was to keep the home and to try to salvage it, and I apologize if there's any vestiges of notes here from before, but the intention at this point, and reason to be here tonight is to eliminate the home, put in a foundation, and rebuild essentially the same home. So if there's any...
So nothing would be
No,
used.
these are not the...
These aren't the permit set.
Not
Yeah.
yet. Computer driven and spell checks.
So I guess when I'm looking at it, it looks like the east elevation, there are two separate pitches on the roof, right? You've got a dormer, a little bit of a less of a steep pitch towards the back of that. Then towards the front? So I'm looking at proposed.
Okay.
So I see two triangular roof lines when I'm looking straight on,
Mhm.
and on the second level. So is it like a dormer in the back portion of it?
It's step low. I won't talk.
Yeah, so if you look at the south or the north elevation, you can see the dormer, just the shed dormer. coming
Okay.
out. And then.
So that's what I'm seeing when I'm looking
Correct.
straight through the
street
east.
side on the east elevation, correct, yeah.
Okay.
Of the dormer step back like 2
Yes,
feet?
absolutely,
Okay.
maintain the.
Or is it just one wall and you're just doing the decorative
Nope.
gable? Okay.
We stepped in, if you look on the floor plan, you can see that the
Yep.
kicked in a little bit, again, to maintain the integrity of the original line.
Bob Joan, do you have any comments or questions?
Yes, I agree with Lynn that the current building looks in very good shape for its age. But I think I'm still puzzled on the right-hand side, that outcrop on the back. When I look at your second floor plan, oh, that's existing, I'm sorry. So you're gonna make use on the second floor?
Yeah, to interrupt.
Oh, I see, okay.
So the footprint is there, Bob, we're just taking advantage of the footprint and putting a walk-in closet on the second floor.
Got it.
Otherwise,
Got it.
modern.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that looks awkward, but otherwise, you do keep that front portion that would mimic the existing house, that it's almost like you just raised dormers back there. But that's all comments I have.
All right, we have, before I open it up to the public, I just want to read an email that we received from a Kathleen Prunier that was sent in to our assistant at Town Hall. It says, "My name is Kathleen Prunier and I'm a direct abutter at 40 Ocean Avenue. My husband and I have a number of questions concerning the proposed demolition of 38 Ocean Avenue. And the owner, Nancy Hanron, has been very responsive and we appreciate that. However, time is short and we are not able to attend in person and Zoom is not available, so we were advised to contact by email. While going through the paperwork, we noted that the reason for the total demolition provided by Thomas Corleone in his letter attached to the application states specifically the wood framing is inadequate by today's wind and snow load structural requirements and there is substantial wood deterioration rot. In the notes on the plans, it states existing wood studs to remain, existing sheathing to remain, and existing framing to remain. If the reason for the demolition is the poor condition and rot, as Mr. Corleone states, and yet the stud, sheathing, etc. are to remain, the consistencies are confusing. Thank you for your time."
Yeah, in response to that, I apologize, that page is a vestige of when we originally started the project, our intent was to salvage the house,
Okay.
and it's no longer that, so again, that's.
So none of that is true. That is all. Your intention is to demolish everything. Okay.
All the building to be sheathing and studs, the frequency of the studs, the size of the studs be consistent with modern requirements.
Okay.
Current code requirements.
Great. We're in the public hearing portion of the meeting. Is there anybody in the public that wishes to speak or have any questions? Please, if you could come forward and state your name
Perfect,
for the record.
perfect. Can I come up there?
You,
Because I have some things I want to show you.
sure. Why don't you use,
First off, I'm
If you-
Bob Nickerson. I live in Harwichport, and I'm actually here for the last talk today, because they want to demo that house too. And I want to show you, I have made copies to pass around to show you what a house looks like beforehand and how bad it is.
Mr. Nickerson, you need to address the board, not the public, please.
Yeah.
Okay, well, they don't, okay, so I have all copies for you guys.
Thank you.
And this is just an example of a couple of rooms. And this is the house in about 1901. This house was built in 1796. This addition was put on in about 1915. This is a picture when they put vinyl siding on it. My father did that. Awful, right? Horrible additions, right? We took the house, took all the back part off that wasn't 1796, okay? We lifted the house, right? You don't think there was rotted wood? There was rotted wood. That's the inside of the house. Okay?
Address us, please, not the applicant.
Oh, sorry, Bob. Can he see that when I do this?
Okay,
Hopefully, yes.
Okay. Chimney that had to be rebuilt, same bricks. Here's another picture of the chimney rebuilt. Okay. Some rotted beams, right? This is the house picture above, before, as under construction, and now. Another picture in another room. 4. This is the house right now. So when people tell me that because they have rotted wood and they can't repair it, I say they can. And by the way, I'm a structural engineer, so it can be done. So every time you say, fine, we're gonna demo it, another piece of Harwich goes down the tubes because you're not willing to put the energy in and the effort in to rebuild the house. And it can be done. So I don't want to hear that can't be done. So what happens is everybody, if you're going to buy a house and you know it's going to have problems, why did you buy the house if you're not willing to actually save the house for the town? It's very disappointing that this keeps happening over and over again. And so you get a structural engineer who says, oh, I got rotted wood, I have a couple of other cases that you did the same thing, and oh, we can't replace it. I have a whole bunch of material that we bought extra in my basement I'll give to anybody that needs it to rebuild a house so it can be saved. Thank you.
Anyone else? So, Mr. Nickerson, I understand and I feel your pain. I wish that we had the power with us to stop demolition, but we do not. Under our demolition delay bylaw, it is exactly that. It is a demolition delay bylaw. So while I would love to tell people that no, they can't demolish structures, unfortunately, people can wait us out. And the most we can do is impose a 12-month delay. And unfortunately, that's the way our bylaw works.
I understand your challenges.
So-
I just want to try to educate the people that are buying houses
And
and not fixing it.
I appreciate that, and we certainly this board understands. And, you know, hopefully we can convince some people not to, or to at least do a good job in what they're replacing it with. But I want the public to understand there's only so much this board can do. As much as we'd love to say no, sometimes a 12-month delay doesn't discourage everyone. So that being said, is there anyone else in the public that wishes to speak? Are there any other comments or questions from members of the board?
Have you investigated working with other organizations to help and try and save the house?
For example?
Protect our past, for example? Is they try to work with homeowners who are considering tearing down a house and try to work it into something that could be saved?
I have not. I will say that I'm going to save as much as I can of the house. I'm going to use the front door. The farmer's sink is going to stay. I have a bunch of antique lighting I'm going to use in the house. I try to make it seem like it's not so modern, like there'll be a nod to the history as much as possible. I've vacationed down there since I was 5 years old, and I'm going to retire down there once I have the house built. I don't want to change the area, but I do need to have the house work for me.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Bob,
No,
is the board ready for a vote? And ready to close the public hearing? All right, so the chair would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
So motion's been made by Julie. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Brendan. Do a roll call vote. Bob?
Yes,
Brendan?
Yes.
Lynn? This is to close the public hearing.
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
So we have closed the public hearing, 5-0. Now a quorum for us is 4. So, and as I mentioned, the board can either vote to allow it or vote to impose a demolition delay at this point. So who would like to start with a motion?
Can I add a comment before we do the motion or no?
We close the public hearing,
We're good.
so.
We're good. Okay.
I need to find my application here.
Don't mind.
I got it. Thank you. Okay, Brendan, are you gonna take a stab?
Sure. Case number HH 2023-17, filing date August 11, 2023, hearing date September 27, 2023. Property map and parcel 38 Ocean Ave, map 6B H1-2, Nancy Hinron. Recording information, cert 231754. Proposed full demolition. Description of work: demo entire existing structure and replace with a new single-family dwelling. Historical significance: it is listed on the historic property inventory. The proposed demolition would not destroy or diminish the historic value or significance of the building. Determination would be no demolition delay period imposed. Any conditions?
Your motion.
Yeah.
You decide.
No conditions. I mean, I guess the only condition is staying with the elevations proposed. Because I know these plans are not the permit set, so condition would be, with
So
the
subject
proposed-
to the elevations.
Subject to the elevations. I can barely see the date on March 27, 2023.
Detailed, I'm sorry, in plans dated.
March 27, 2023.
Okay. So we have a motion. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
So Brendan's made a motion. Julie has seconded. And it is to allow the demolition. We'll do a roll call vote. Bob?
yes,
Julie?
Yes.
Lynn?
No.
Brendan?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes as well. So it is allowed. Okay, so you're all set. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes. That was 4-1. So the next hearing on our agenda this evening is HH 2023-18, Marie Di Dominicis. Thank you.
It's a tough one.
Owner.
I have a hard time with it. I've been talking, saying it for months now. So,
Through their agent, Aaron Strom with DNS Construction, who has filed a notice of intent. The project proposes a partial demolition to replace windows, doors, siding, and the roof. The structure is a historic building, according to the town assessing records, and is located at 87 Great Western Road, map 45, parcel X1. If you could state your name for the record, please.
Aaron Strong, DNS Construction.
Thank you for coming in this evening. And if you could go over the application and the plans with us.
All right, so about a year and a half ago, the house in question had a structural fire, which put quite a hole in the roof. So the plan here is to remove the existing roof framing and plywood and rebuild it back to original way it looks now. And then we're going to redo the siding as well and replace the windows with structurally correct windows.
Okay. Any questions from the board? Brendan?
Just a question on the Windows Anderson A-Series, great, double hung. Grills will be the same that are existing?
Yes.
Okay, the grill pattern will be the same?
Yeah.
Which is 6/1 or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else, Brendan?
Any work being done to the corner boards?
Yeah, they're going to be removed and replaced with new looking.
New look-
Same material. though.
Same material?
Same style.
Same style? That's all I've got. All right, great.
Lynn?
No, I just want to say thank you for saving it.
Don't thank me yet.
The front door is beautiful.
Yes,
It was.
it is.
Yeah, I'm going to try to match that. Find it.
Julie, any questions, comments?
I didn't even know this house was there, actually. It doesn't.
Me either.
With all the overbrush.
Bob Doan, do you have any questions or comments?
Yeah, yes. Will the trim be all replaced?
It
Or
will.
will it, some of it looks in good shape.
Yeah, some of it is. I could probably pull it off and try to reuse it. You mean you're talking about the gable
I mean,
walls?
for instance, around the front door, there's very elaborate
Yeah,
trim, which looks pretty good.
okay.
Would that be duplicated or saved?
Yes, everything's going to be exactly the way, I'm going to try to make it exactly the way it was. Exactly,
Okay.
yeah. I don't want to change it.
Unfortunately, the door you show is not quite the same.
I know. But my architect couldn't, I don't know, didn't draw it right. But the goal would be to try to match that door, but, I mean, I wish we could save it, the door is like falling off the hinges right now. So,
Okay.
but I can try.
Yeah, as I say, my concern was there's a lot of good trim around the house, which really gives it character.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's reproduced, that's great.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I love the plan that you are trying to save the house, the basic house.
Yeah.
That's only comments for me.
Thanks, Bob. We are in a public hearing. Are there any questions or comments from the public? Yes, if you could come forward and state your name for the record, please.
Sorry, stiff knee. My name is Tom Evans. I live at 90 Great Western Road, which is immediately across the street
Yes.
from 87 Great Western Road. I've been in that house for 50 years. Nancy D. Dominicus bought her house about 6 years before we moved into ours. She was one of the first neighbors that I met when we arrived in 1973. The house, the town records say the house is, I believe, 1780. I think its architectural style probably has it more in 1820, but in any event, it was there before our house, which I believe was built in 1830. And if you look at the old Harwich maps, The only two houses on those maps in that era on the east side of Herring River are
Here
our
too.
two homes.
Mhm.
It is a beautiful home. I'm delighted that you're restoring it, and I hope that, I know I speak for some neighbors in saying, we really want to see this house restored to its prior glory. In all honesty, it has been deteriorating seriously for many years before the fire. And I have a very hard time imagining the trauma and the stress that it created on the family when the fire arrived. Neighbors have been in a state of I won't call it semi-panic, but we've wondered what in the world is going to happen to this house because it's been vacant for 18 months. I know neighbors have complained, some to the health department around rodents, raccoons. I mean, we know critters take up residence in unoccupied old houses in a lickety-split because
Yes,
there are
they
so
do.
many access points. We will love it as a neighborhood to see this house restored. North Harwich is a proud community where a lot of people are taking very good care of their historic homes. So, Aaron, I wish you well. I wish Marie Dominicus well. You know, I hope that this property can be restored to its prior glory because it really is a great old house.
Yes.
Thank you for coming out tonight and speaking in favor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that wishes to speak? Hearing none, is the board ready to close the public hearing and take a vote?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, who'd like to make a motion?
So moved.
All right. Linda's made a motion, Julie has seconded to close the public hearing. We'll do a roll call. Julie?
Yes.
Lynn?
Yes.
Brendan?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. So the public hearing is closed. And who would like to take a stab at the motion?
I'll do it.
All right, Lynn.
Case number HH 2023-18, NOI filing date August 16, 2023, date of hearing September 27, 2023. Property map, parcel 87 Great Western Road, map 45, parcel X1, owner Marie D. Dominicus, applicant Aaron Strom, BCRD recording information BK 19166 PG 75. Subject building is year built 1780. Source used to determine age, town assessing records. Demolition proposed partial. Project proposes a partial demolition to replace windows, doors, siding, and roof. Historic significance listed in town historic property inventory. Proposed demolition would not destroy or substantially diminish the historic value, significance of subject's building.
So you want to know?
Where do I go from here?
You
You're
want
on this
to?
one, so determination?
You
So,
want to know?
No.
Okay, no demolition delay period imposed. Conditions,
We'll have one, just Windows 6/1
Windows 6
was in your description, so.
I survived.
Okay, so that's the only condition. All right, so we have a motion to approve without a demolition delay with the sole condition of windows being 6 panes over 1 pane. We'll do a roll call vote. Bob Doan?
Yes.
Brendan?
Yes.
Lynn?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
And the chair votes in favor, so the motion carries. So you are all set. Thank you for coming in this
Thank you.
evening.
Thank you.
All right. We have 15 minutes. Are you good still? Or do
I
you
think
want
you
to?
could sneak. Can I just pull my hair out real quick to see if?
Yeah, so we're going to take a 5-minute recess.
No one's even there yet. It's fine. We can.
Well, I just called a 5-minute recess, so I got to
Okay,
wait
so we
till
have 5
5.
minutes? All right,
Yep.
let's do that. Okay.
If anyone needs a break, we're taking a 5-minute recess,
There's
so.
water down below. It's
I think
okay.
downstairs, there's a kitchen. If you, at the foot of the stairs, there's a kitchen in there. I don't know that there's a, I'm trying to think if there's a water.
Is there a water pump by the
There's a
bathroom?
fountain right over in the
Right
wall.
over there? Okay, I
Is
thought
it-
I saw
That's
one.
right. I'm like, I know I saw
So
it.
report back to everybody else.
Thanks for that.
Multi-vortex tornado.
A multi-vortex.
A multi-vortex tornado was spotted rolling through Norton, Kansas on September 21st. Makes me happy that I don't live in Kansas.
I feel like we live in the safest part of the world.
Just saying.
Is Dorothy still up there?
Just saying. That's
Yeah.
insane.
It was pretty.
So
I
fun's
feel,
not
I
bad
feel like we're in a
enough.
very safe spot. I mean, the movies never destroy Boston, right? So they even protected in Hollywood.
Like, a tornado's bad enough. A multi-vortex tornado?
Well,
I
that
don't even
tornado
know
we
what
had-
that means.
In the center was a real thing. I mean, it.
Oh, it
ripped.
was.
It, all the trees that came down. It was pretty scary.
I was in the basement here, as a matter of
How many
fact.
minutes we have? We got one more. Do you time it?
One.
One.
Proof I'm married to a good kid.
Who?
Proof I'm married to a good kid.
He's not from here, right?
Yeah,
Oh, he is from here.
yeah. We moved to Harwich when we were in 3rd grade.
You good? You good? Thank you. We'll call the meeting back to order. It is 6:50. The next public hearing on our agenda is HH 2023-19. Gary Sawin, owner, through his agent Matt White, has filed a notice of intent. The project proposes a partial demolition to an addition on the north side of the structure. The structure is a historic building according to the state and town assessing records and is located at 547 Route 28, map 14, parcel V4.
Hi,
Good evening. If you could state your name for the record, please.
my name's Matt White. I'm representing the Sawin family. They own 547 Main Street. I don't know if you guys know the house. It used to be the gray gull, and now they're turning it back into a residence. Originally, the homeowner was going to pull this permit himself and represent himself, but he was having a hard time explaining that the part of the house that we're working on was actually built in the 50s. So we're actually trying to bring it back to the original. If you look at the picture, that kind of honky little lean-to, we're trying to just take that out. We believe that there's a couple of cool old windows buried in that wall between the two. So they really like the old historic glass, it's the rated glass. So wanted to see if we could bring that back and get rid of that lean-to roof.
So I'll ask a question. Are you taking it all the way to the sidewall? Or are you taking the whole stretch, or are you just going to the change in roof line? You can see there's a change in roof line here.
So part of the problem with it, I don't know yet. What I'm gonna do is take it back to the original structure. The problem is when they built the little lean-to on side of the house, they put up a wall first. So it just buried everything that was inside of the original structure. So I sort of have to pick it away piece by piece to get down to that. And if I have to do some minor carpentry to bring the original structure back up to par, then I could do that. But so far, we don't think that we're going to need to do that.
Yeah, that was Moody's camera shop.
Yeah, 1950s. The house was actually, we couldn't find very much documentation, but the house was originally built in Nantucket, and they shipped it up C Street on they shipped it across on a barge, rolled it up with cart and buggy up C Street, and that's where it ended up right there.
It's like your dream house.
I know. There were a bunch of Harwich
Except for it has
houses in Harwich Port
12
that happened
bathrooms that
to.
all need to be redone.
Wow.
So again, I'm having a hard time just trying to picture
So Matt-
exactly what you're looking to get permission to do.
Sure.
So if you could just come up and maybe I can show it better. So I see a couple of different structures. I see this structure here.
Okay.
Behind that is this other, looks like they came back further, that cuts into this roof.
So the original.
Are you looking to keep this portion where
this little roof line ends right there? That's going to stay.
So you're going down to the original foundation and you're removing the flat roof
Believe it or
and
not,
the lean-to.
Yeah, there
Both,
is no
both of these
foundation.
buildings, yeah. Yeah, there's nothing, right?
Yeah.
But you're removing both of these.
No, this building right here stays.
Okay, that was Mary's
This
question.
stays, and this stays. They wanted to originally remove this as well, but they have all their this is their boiler room. So it has all their
so if
electrical.
this stays, does this stay?
Yes.
Because that's what I can't see
Yeah.
from the picture.
So this,
Yeah,
this line's
that's-
right here.
So,
Yeah, exactly.
So that's where
You
you
get that right.
you demolish,
Yeah,
but you would
right
leave
there.
this and you would
Right.
leave this.
Exactly, Mundo, yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Flat roof area, right?
Bob, I just want to
Keeping that.
see if you understood that.
And do you think there's windows in the north side facing Main Street?
Facing,
28.
yeah, so it's
Yeah.
in between the hot stove and I think it's a Realtor building. We believe that there's two nice old windows
Oh, right.
facing hot stove, which I believe is east.
Okay.
That's the east.
Yeah.
So Bob Doan, can you hear me? So if you're looking at the picture that he has where there's a big X on it, the two windows on the back, that portion of the structure is staying.
Right,
The roof that goes to that portion of the structure is staying. It's only from the kind of line in the siding towards 28.
that's correct, I do understand that.
Okay.
And other than sentimental reasons of going to see said movie, develop pictures of my film,
Yes.
other than that, yeah, it definitely should be removed. It's not original, and it's terrible. It looks terrible now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the jealousy window that's still on the side. I wish I could still get them, but. Okay, so any other questions from members of the board?
Nope, I'm
Julie?
good.
No.
Lynn, no. Brendan has said no. And Bob, do you have anything else?
No,
Perfect. Any questions or comments from the public?
Duncan Berry,
you,
question
Duncan.
clarification with regard to what's being removed. Is it the retail space that was added on? Is that what we're looking for?
Yes.
Would you like to come forward and look at the picture? Please, because I couldn't either.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you're saying.
It's this cube.
Moody cube.
Yes,
Okay, there you go.
but this,
Thank you.
but you see this back portion in the back pitch that comes above it is staying.
There's a lean-to. that's-
Yes,
okay.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
I don't really have to do much taking it off. I get give a little nudge and just fall off.
Are there any cameras left? I'm just-
So any other questions or comments from the public?
I just want to say.
Yes,
it's
Mr.
great
Dickerson.
that they're doing this, Bob Dickerson.
Thank you. All right, who'd like to take a stab? We have to close, yes, thank you, Julie. So who'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing, Julie?
Second.
So Julie and Brendan. We'll do a roll call on closing the public hearing. Bob Doan,
agreed.
Julie,
Yes.
Lynn,
Yes.
Brendan.
Yes.
And the chair says yes as well. So we've closed the public hearing. Who would like to take a stab at the motion?
He's good at it.
Motion to approve case HH 2023-9, filing date August 16, 2000.
9?
I'm sorry? I'm sorry, that's 19. Filing date August 16, 2023. Hearing date September 27, 2023. Property map and parcel 547 Route 28 map 14 parcel V4. Gary Sarwin is the owner. Applicant is Matt White. Recording information BK4532 page 291. A year built 1850. Demolition proposed partial. Brief description of the work is proposed partial demolition to the addition north side of structure. Historical significance is listed on the town's historic property inventory. The proposed demolition would not destroy or substantially diminish the historic value significance of the subject building. Determination, no demolition delay period imposed. Conditions, if windows are found or new windows put in, could they be 2/2s? I mean, just to match existing?
We would match existing,
Okay,
but to be honest with you, I don't think that they would take out an old single pane glass and put in a double pane. They like that old glass. We would probably end up still just putting in a single pane glass.
I think it wouldn't matter either one as long as it was 2/2 to
Yeah,
match.
okay.
So your condition is
Is
to match any existing.
window grill pattern.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve without a demolition delay being imposed with the sole condition of matching any existing window grill pattern. We'll take a roll call vote. Julie?
Yes.
Lynn?
Yes.
Brendan?
Yes.
Bob Doan?
Yes,
And the chair votes in favor, so the motion carries 5-0.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Have a nice day.
It's the 27th, not the 23rd. Okay. And now for the last public hearing on our agenda. We'll open HH 2023-20. It's K&M Management owner through their agent Conserve Group, Inc., who's filed a notice of intent. The project proposes the full demolition of the 2 existing structures to replace with multifamily dwelling. The structures are historic buildings according to the state and town assessing records, and it's located at 934 Route 28, map 34, parcel S1. Hello, if you could come forward and state your name for the record, please.
I'm Patricia Kennedy, I'm the owner of the property.
So if you could go through your application for us, please.
Sure. So this would be the second time we've requested to demolish this building. We were given approval back in 2010. We did advertise the building to be, to give it away if anyone wanted it. At the time, it was in very bad condition. The gentleman that lived there, he was very old. He ran an antique store called 6 Crowns. And he had lived there for quite some time. I don't know how long, but he had not taken care of the property. So we knew him because we were his neighbor. He also owned the property to the right, the commercial office building. It used to be Back Office Associates, now it's the Zuby building. And so we had made friends with him. He came to us and said he couldn't take care of the house any longer. He needed to relocate to a place where he could, I think he said assisted living, or live with a family member. So we agreed to purchase the building with the intent that we needed to expand our offices. At the time, we did proceed with a plan to put an office building there. It is zoned commercial on a pretty large portion of that lot, on the front of the lot. And so we did get approval of that. Within that time frame of trying to get those approvals and build that office building, Dr. Fennell, who owned the old Thompson's Market, called us and said, please buy my building. You don't need to build a new building. You can renovate that building and do what you need. So we ended up buying the old Thompson's Market. We repurposed it for quite some time as our offices. We did not demolish the building or do any building on that lot. We were able to get the office space we needed at the Thompson's Market. We then waited for quite some time to decide what we wanted to do. We were approached by several people in Harwich stating the need for housing was quite great. We were recommended to work with Conserve, who is quite expert at building multifamily units. The project that we have planned would be very similar to a project that's in Hyannis, which is on Captain's Walk, I believe. They're very beautiful, historic-looking multifamily units. I don't know if you know them, but they're quite lovely. They're shingled, beautiful gabled roofs, quite nice. I'm very much into historic architecture, so and I have saved quite a number of historic homes. I live in a historic home, so I'm very much focused on making sure that this project is very attractive and very historical looking. That's our plan, is to build a multi-unit unit. We have those plans. We've met with the boards in Harwich informally. They looked at the initial schematics of what we plan to do. They basically said yes, they approved it. Until we can get the final plans and engineering, which we do not have all of that right now. But they did say that the lot would, because of the zoning and because of the lot size, et cetera, that we would qualify to put some multifamily there. So that is our plan.
And this is the lot that is just to the west of the Zudi building, correct?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. All right. Who'd like to start? Brendan?
I could start. And this was the only plan we got as far as just the layout.
It's just a layout, yes, we're still working on the final.
So you're thinking there's
architecture.
there's 6 residential buildings here?
Yes, that's right.
And they would be single-family styled or
Yes.
single-family style?
There are multiple units in there, but
Right.
they're for individual families.
So 3 in each building?
That's right.
Okay. I mean, it's tough to even consider any kind of decision tonight, I think. Usually we have plans to see what it would look like. It's tough just to go off of this
No,
alone. And I understand what you might want to duplicating those buildings, but it would be tough for me to,
We don't
without
have
seeing
any
plans.
drawings, do we? Not yet.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, we're in the beginning stages.
Right, exactly.
We first wanted to meet with the different boards to find out,
Mhm.
you know, what is needed, what would work, et cetera. You know, we're not trying to push this through, we're just trying to say, what does the town need? This lot is, you know, it's not really being used for anything, and we actually went in and brought a builder to try and see what could be done, but the house has some, a lot of different renovations occurred in the house over many years that kind of put some materials in there that probably aren't good. I don't know that we're having someone assess that, but the structure had not been cared for at all
Yeah.
during his tenure, so.
I did do a site visit and it was heavily overgrown. It was tough to even get close to the houses.
Right.
So it was
I
tough to-
have been inside of it, it is very bad.
Yeah.
It's collapsed, everything, you know, the members are collapsed inside, the roof is collapsing.
Mhm.
But it was pretty much in that shape when we bought it. We did not buy that to do anything other than, you know, use it for other purposes. And like I said, we were gonna put an office building there.
Mhm.
Lynn?
Well, I, just out of curiosity, since it's so old, wanted to, as I usually do a little research on the owners, the original builders. And I came across something which is actually kind of historically significant for the town. Zephaniah Nickerson was a postmaster. The post office was 2 doors down from the house on the other side of 28. So it'd be a real shame to lose something that's got that history, because as the town was developing, the town and the state and the federal government was developing the mail systems. He was one of the early ones for that area. As you went down Cape, the post offices grew as you went down Cape over many years. So, being a historian, I have to consider something like that. Do we want to lose a house that could have been the post office at that time? Later on, in 1880, as it had moved down, but in 1832 to 37, it may have been in that house because he was one of the postmasters.
Well, I have been in the house. I actually have one of the first post offices in Brewster that I own. And it still had the mail, I still have the mail sorter in there. I have the mail slot, the original mail slot. I mean, I actually own a post office, one of the original in Brewster, right on 137. I've been in that house. I'm not saying that it was or wasn't, but I'm saying I've never seen anything in that house that would indicate that it was ever used as a post office. There's no mail sorters or mail slots.
Well,
or-
there's more research that has to be done, of course,
Well-
but it's a starting.
Right, the house itself though is, it's not safe to be inside of it. When I was in there, part of the floor had collapsed. So if you do try to go inside that house, it's very not good. I had to leave, I was very concerned about the actual structure. And as I said, when he lived there, I don't think he did any maintenance at all the whole time he lived there. Bill was his name. He was very old and he had a lot of health issues, so.
Julie, do you have any questions?
Not really, I kind of feel the same way Brendan does. It's hard to make a decision because we don't have any plans or, I mean, I understand what would be
Sure.
done would be, I'm sure it would be very nice, but it's hard to give an actual.
Well, we can
concept.
resubmit plans when we get them, on what the new structure would look like, but, the house itself is, we have no intention to repair the house. So as it sits, it's just gonna, it is crumbling. We do have it secured, so if you did wanna go inside, we'd have to open it, just because of safety reasons. We've secured the house, but, there's also a small structure behind that they were using as, he was renting that out to someone for a while, but those became unusable also because he didn't maintain them.
Bob Doan, do you have any questions or comments?
Yeah, sadly, this is a very good example of demolition by neglect. This is a very architecturally insignificant. It's a really good full cape, and historically, it has fairly high significance with the past owners. I would like to see it, but at this point, I feel we do have to put a one-year demolition delay on it myself. And, but I would like to see if there's any chance that anything could be salvageable as far as relocating.
Well, as I said, we did put ads in the paper when we were given permission last time. We advertised for 90 days and no one responded.
And that was 2010.
That was 2010.
That was quite a while ago, maybe attitudes have changed.
Well, yes, I mean, we're willing to advertise and tell anyone that would want to take it, they could. I would say that, and I would say that it wasn't our neglect. The house was heavily neglected for many, many years. We literally just took it from him when he could no longer live there because it was in such bad shape. So, I don't want you to think that we neglected it. Every property we own, we take very good care of. But we definitely feel that because of the need for housing in the town, that delaying it for a year could detrimentally affect the project, that we may not go forward with anything. So, because we'll just, repurpose what we had set up to go with this project, we may put that somewhere else for a while and not move forward.
So what I can say is, and what we have done and are able to do, is if we put I have to agree with my colleagues, it's difficult for us to not put a delay in when we don't see what's going to replace it.
Understood.
So we could always impose a delay. You can, once you have your plan set with what you're proposing to put in for your building plans, you can come back, and then if it's agreeable, we can certainly look to remove that delay at that point.
So you could,
So we can
if
remove
you put
it.
a year, you could come back and say, well, we now see
Correct.
the plans, we now understand the
Correct.
project, and, okay.
Correct, and that's what makes it, somewhat a little more palatable, like you saw in the earlier hearing.
Right.
There was a building that was trying to at least maintain the same footprint
Right.
and similar characteristics
Now,
of the
obviously,
structures.
this wouldn't be that,
Understand it's not going to be a single
Right.
full cape.
Right.
We understand that, but there is always that option to come forward when you have building plans.
Are you close to having plans done, or how far out are you?
I mean, I don't want to put a date on it or anything, but we're still discussing how we want it to look, and this feedback is certainly going to factor into that.
I would say at least 60 days.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I mean,
So that's just food for thought. We're still in a public hearing. If there are members of the public that I believe would like to,
sorry.
you want to say
just
something?
one more thought. I mean, ideally, personally, I would love to see the house in front stay. And if that can be incorporated in your design and add any other buildings, because it is pretty forward on the property. If that's even possible, but.
Yeah, the highway department is very concerned about how close it is to the road, and the last board, when they they asked us if we could move the house back from the road. They were very concerned because it is very close.
But you're still more than 25, well, I'll leave that alone.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm just
I didn't
thinking,
say that, they said that.
I would love to see the building stay,
Right.
and, you know, to Mary's point earlier about a previous case and other properties that have come in front of us, architects have come, it's been great, the work we're doing, I think, the last 5 years or so, and plus more than that the architects understand what we're looking for, and they come to the table with a plan that we can approve.
Right.
So not having like a plan,
Sure, I
or
understand.
elevations, it's hard to
Yeah,
really do
that's,
something.
I fully understand.
I mean, I would love to see a continuance, maybe see what it would look like, and if we could put our 2 cents in, that would be ideal. But, you know, or you could do the 12-month, I guess.
Well, what would be
But
better?
we're not really basing
continuance
it.
or
So we're still in a public hearing, so I want to hear from the public
Yeah,
too.
let's do
Sure.
that.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there are people that would like to speak. Duncan, would you like to state your name for the record? And
Yes, Duncan Berry. I'm speaking both as a resident and also as the Vice President of the Historical Society of Town of Harwich. A couple of red flags here. First of all, I would say in agreement with Bob, it's a pretty significant building, and with what Lynn said, not only for the personages that were connected to it, but also the fact that it's, in my estimate, it looks like it's a mid-18th century cape. Very finely detailed, great proportions, a very fine specimen of the type, very early and intact. I would say that also it's connected to a founding family on the Cape, and the founding family of Chatham, which also makes it significant from a historical / genealogical, and also in terms of our town history. The Nickersons played a huge role in our town. So, I mean, there's a brand value there that you would be destroying, in addition to destroying, you know, as Brandon has said, the embodied carbon that's already captured in first growth woods there. So in other words, the wood that was built, that was used and harvested and cut to create that building has such wide rings that it lasts an enormously long time and has much different properties than wood that we would be using for a modern structure. And the comparison that I use is, imagine what protein is like when you do not feed your chickens or cows, antibiotics or, you know, any kind of hormones or something like that. You alter the lifespan and the properties, the cellular structure of the organism. Well, it's the same thing with wood. And I would very much like to see, I did a site visit as well, and I understand your perspective as an owner. I'm an owner, you know, I've owned several historic buildings. You tend to have a subjective perspective when you have skin in the game as an owner, and which I completely get, because you look at it as a different value grade. But I would also like to try and, as what Brandon said, there's a lot to be preserved with that. There's probably a lot of value and attraction for the brand value of the property that you would have. I would say that I have another red flag that is of concern to me is the, if you talk to the people of Barnstable Historical Society, and also a preservation advocacy group called Preservation Mass. The Barnstable Captain's Row area that you talk about, Captain's, whatever.
I think it's called Captain's Walk.
Captain's Walk. That really did not turn out the way, that's not a great example to provide to the public. It was not really well received. So I'm just saying from our point of view, that's not a big selling feature. I would very much like an opportunity to take a look at the building, and I would say as a stipulation to consider, the board to consider would be perhaps to market it differently than simply an advertisement. There are now all sorts of organizations, there are Facebook groups, there are local, regional, state, and national entities that market historic properties. So I think, you know, you probably have
to for someone to take.
to market it properly. So I'm just saying, yeah, you would find takers if you want to get rid of it, you know, if you can't incorporate it. But I would very much like to take a look at it because, you know, it would be, there's probably some interesting things, built-in, furnishings, hand-reeded moldings, things that you, once these things are gone, I mean, it's a way of life that's lost. It's not just a piece of wood with glass and nails and screws. It's kind of a whole.
No, I understand, I live in
Yeah.
a house built in 1900, so,
Yeah,
and I
so-
preserved it.
Yeah.
So I understand, I have been in this house and looked through it about 7 or 8 years ago before some of the other things started happening, but I'd be happy to advertise it however you wanted me to advertise it, or attempt to get one of the historical groups that might want it.
Let's protect our past, there's preservation mass historic, all sorts of
Okay.
organizations. There's historic West, Harwich Historical Society.
Right.
Now, there's all like, we would, you got a lot of people that would want to help you save that in whatever way they can be. There's also, because of its age and it's likely being potentially easily qualifying under at least 4 criteria for membership for inclusion in National Register property. You would also probably qualify for significant tax credits for preservation and proper, and awards and all the rest of it. So, I mean, I think there's an opportunity there that goes either hand in hand with what you're trying to do to leverage the property for housing, also in a kind of a historically branded contextual scenario. So just putting that out. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Duncan. Anyone else? Mr. Nickerson?
Hi, Bob Nickerson. Zephaniah was my great-great-great-great-grandfather. So I have a lot of concern about losing that house. My family has been in Harwich continually since 1675. Okay, everybody except my sisters and I have been born in Harwich since 1675. That's why I showed you our house, 1796, that the family bought in 1880. And we did that full restoration. And I appreciate the restoration your family, you did, and Brewster. It's amazing, fantastic. So I'm the same way. I didn't go on the property because I felt that's trespassing. I would love to go see the building. Barbara and I might consider buying the building. We have a timber framer because I'm the president of the Nickerson Family Association. We're putting up an 1800s barn that was taken from William's son's William II's property in Chatham and putting it on our site. Full restoration of a 20 by 20 foot barn. So I'm fully familiar with what you have to do. I have an excellent timber framer that actually did some work on Notre Dame and other properties in Europe. So Ian Ellison is like the #1 guy. So I think it would be great if you're willing to set up a time, we could come and look at it. I don't know, maybe the condition is horrendous, but there's a lot of things that can be done. That's what we do with ours. We rebuilt the whole house, all the timbers are shown, all the floors are pine, all the 3 fireplaces and the beehive are all fully functional. It can be done. So I would really encourage you to do that.
I know it can, I'd be happy to show it to you.
That would be great. Appreciate it. I really appreciate
Yeah.
it.
I'd be happy to. If you'd like
Great,
to come,
love to
I'd
see
be
it.
happy to. I'll get your contact information.
Thank you.
So I would just request a continuance to give us time to get plans and meet with these gentlemen and figure out what our options are.
Okay. And then, like I said, we can, did you want to speak to Mrs. Nickerson? Please, go ahead.
Barbara Nickerson, Harwich Court. A couple things. First off, I don't know where the state highway is getting off on their 25 feet or anything, because our house is 23 foot from on Route 28, so, it is the DOT, we gotta take that with a grain of salt. As far as they're concerned, they'd rather have a 4-lane highway there anyhow, so.
Yes, they
What I
would.
agree with Brandon is that I don't see any reason why you can't try to incorporate that house into what you're planning on doing, which, right now, I gotta tell you, when I look at the little bit of plans that we have, it looks like urban renewal 2.0. And to be honest, I expected more from you because of your history with what you've done on the Cape. But, maybe your plans will show differently, and the other thing is, per Duncan's comment, You know, I don't want Harwich to be Hyannis. I don't care how good those townhouses or anything else look there. If I want it to look like Yarmouth, I want it to look like Hyannis, I'd be living there. I don't. This house is pretty significant because one thing my husband didn't say is that in addition to being the postmaster, Zephaniah was also a selectman for 16 years. He and four others also started doing the work on Skimkit Pond.
Did he live in that house?
Yes, he did. He built it.
Okay.
So his great-great-great-grandfather was born there. So the point is that whether or not, you know, this other person or other people have let it go, which unfortunately they do, you know, it shouldn't be overgrown right now and taking some bush hogs and get it cleaned up. My point is that I think it would be a real shame. You had that beautiful house to the west of it that just sold recently. I mean, tremendous. You know, there's no reason that this can't be a
Well,
show
and we
years
own
old.
that house also,
So,
the one on the corner.
so the point is that, you know,
Victorian.
I think it can be incorporated into the planning. If your consultants are here, think out of the box a little bit, please. Not just, you know, mow it all down and put some concrete and houses up and apartments up. Because, you know, realistically, you could have been using those two houses for families, for renting it for housing needs for all these years also. Because, you know, when you got 2 or 3 kids, you don't really want to be in an apartment either. I'm sorry. But anyhow, I would appreciate the consideration of saving another house. Maybe we should hire the guy that left before, saving a house on Great Western.
So we have,
Thank you.
so Duncan, yes?
And just one footnote, the Department of Transportation is putting through an $8 million redo of 28 between the Dennisport line and Erin River. And one of the structures, the old Cape Half House, you probably remember it as, now called the Noble House. It's about 11 feet from the road.
Right.
So there are all sorts of exemptions and exceptions, and actually those are what make it like an interesting, regular, you know, beautiful.
When the state does complete streets and when they do 28, they like to see sidewalks and bike lanes and to Mrs. Nickerson's point, 4 lanes of highway. We understand that. So we have 2 options. We can either continue for you folks to come back and we can talk about plans. We can impose a 12-month delay, and then when you have your plans, we can come back and talk about them, and you'd have the ability to, you know, if we were agreeable, we could then remove it. You know, I don't know whether it's easier to just do the continuance for 2 months for you and then come back and we can just deal with it all at once, or if you give them an opportunity to go in and see it and have a little more information. But those are really the 2 options that we have before us tonight.
Well, I mean, I don't know your rules, so you'll have to do as you do. But I'm happy to, as I said, to show these gentlemen the property. And we did have builders come in, we did talk about potentially trying to renovate. And there are things in the house, we did nothing to that house, but there are things that were put into that house that may not be safe.
Understood.
So we were concerned about that. That's why we didn't go in there anymore. After one of the builders came out and just said, probably shouldn't go in that house. And I haven't had an expert tell me exactly what's going on, but it concerned me.
Understood.
So I have not been back in that house since then.
Understood.
But I'm happy to, you know, take the 12-month and, you know, we will come back when we're ready and show you what we got. In the meantime, I'm gonna get information from these gentlemen on people that may want to take the house.
Sure.
And see if that's feasible for someone to do that.
Seems like it makes more sense from our perspective, just.
I'd like to see the house too.
Bob Doan?
Yeah, what was the question?
Does it make more sense to just impose the 12-month delay and then when Mrs. Kennedy's ready to come back?
It doesn't make, I don't know if it doesn't make any difference to me. I really do want to see if we can get into the house and to just take a look.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, but if it's just a demo delay, then, I mean, if it is delayed, then, continuance brings you back to us, which.
Well, she's pledging that she's gonna come back anyway, right? So with plans,
Oh, I'm gonna come back. So I
'cause
just
she
think
doesn't
you
want the
should
12
propose a
months.
12-month delay and then
Okay.
we'll come back.
Fair enough.
and then we can remove it when we have plans in front of us.
It may
As long
also
as you
take
can
another
remove it.
Yeah,
60 days.
because we would love
Yeah.
to see it, yeah.
Mary?
Yes,
Sorry. So if you would impose a 12-month delay now, does that mean that after 12 months, it's a given that it's going to be lifted?
that's how our demolition delay works,
Yeah.
yes.
I
So-
think we need to rework that.
We don't disagree with you,
Yeah, we're working on
but
that.
that's really all we can do on a notice of intent. It's a 12-month maximum demolition delay. We have worked on changes to
Yeah.
that bylaw. It needs a little bit more reworking before we can bring it to town meeting. So those are the things that we've talked about.
Okay, one other just comment to Ms. Kennedy is that there are builders and there are builders out there. And 9 out of 10 of them don't want to mess with old houses, old garages, anything like that. You've got to find the right one to work on the structure as far as what can and can't be done. Because, it's a lot.
I'm happy to take your advice.
Right, I'm just saying.
Duncan?
One quick sidebar is that I would urge the board to consider a continuance just because, if they are going to be able to try to market it, a delay clock that starts later just gives us that much more time to get.
Yes, but
people
we also
prepared.
have restrictions as to when we need to vote, so.
And it's up to the applicant if they want
Correct.
to do the continuance.
Correct.
Yeah,
Last 2 cents on the continuance, based on the properties that I know you own,
yeah.
the other ones, I would love to see what you're gonna come with. You're probably gonna knock it out of the park, and I know that. Our goal, or at least my goal, is to try to save the house in front in some capacity. So I'd love to have you do a continuance, come back here with plans that we could view,
Right.
and I understand, it's your choice, but
Right.
we would love to
I think
we would
I'd
love to
rather-
participate.
I'd rather go ahead with a 12-month delay.
Okay,
And I'll still come back, I'm still gonna come back and show you guys everything.
yeah, fair enough.
So I just,
And to your point, there's precedent in the town for the Habitat project that saved the Judah Chase House at, I think, 95 Route 28, about 8 or 10 years ago. And so the housing development was curled around back, left it kind of a seamless street front.
I'm sorry, what was that address?
I think it's 95, it's either 95, 97, Route 28.
Next to Lindsay.
It's actually.
Couple of houses from
A couple
Lindsay.
houses west. It's across from the discount fabric store. It's,
Then if we're ready to make a decision, we can move to close the public hearing.
So moved. Second.
So Julie and Lynn, we'll do a roll call. Brendan, on closing the public hearing.
Aye.
Lynn,
Yeah.
Julie,
Yes.
Bob Doan,
Aye.
and the chair votes in favor. And then would somebody like to do the motion?
Case number HH 202320, filing date August 16, 2023. Hearing September 27, 2023. Map and parcel and property, 934 Route 28, map 34, parcel S1, owner K&M Management. Applicant Conserve Group, Inc. Recording cert 186333. Demolition proposed, full. Brief description of the work is the project proposes a full demolition of the 2 existing structures replaced with multifamily dwelling. Historical significance. It is listed on the historic property inventory. The proposed demolition would destroy, essentially diminish the historic value significance of the building. Determination is a demo delay period imposed of 12 months.
So that would expire on September 26th. 2024.
Yep. And I would assume we can't put conditions on this, right?
On a demo delay, no.
No. No conditions.
So that is our motion to impose the 12-month demo delay. Mrs. Bob?
Can I comment?
Yes.
Yeah, it's also on the Macris database.
Oh, I'm sorry, it
Okay.
is. That is true.
That's true.
Sorry. It's list,
So we'll just add that to it.
yeah, it's on Macris. Sorry, note. I always have that at the bottom of it, but yeah, it's on Macris.
And I'm just asking because it does have a direct association with one or more historically noteworthy
Right,
person or
person.
events. So
Yeah.
did the board want to list that as well?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Okay. Is everybody okay with that?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, then we'll take a roll call. Julie?
Yes.
Lynn?
Yes.
Brendan?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
And the chair votes in favor. So we've imposed the 12-month demo delay. When you're ready with your plans,
We will come
please
back.
We'd love
come
to see
back
it.
and
Thank
we'd love
you.
to see them.
In the
And
meantime, I'm gonna get their contact information.
perfect.
Excellent.
And if when you're developing those plans, if you have, if you would like input, feel free to come back sooner. And
Sure.
That'd be
and
great.
I know, particularly Bob and Brendan and Lynn will probably have some input on some of that information. Thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do you need to go?
Yeah, I kind of do.
Can we have a,
Oh,
can we do a 5?
oh, perfect.
Well, I'm gonna
you can
like, I'm
just
gonna
go.
leave. I'm just
All
gonna
we have
go.
to do is meeting minutes.
Yeah, I
You're
can
good.
do minutes.
Okay.
I
So
want to say though, yeah,
you can just go.
yeah, thanks. Thanks, guys. See, I've got a meeting next door.
Good night, Brendan.
Bye, Bob.
So we'll just note that Brendan has
Zoning board?
left. The only thing I think, the next item on our agenda is approval of meeting minutes.
To approve them?
So we have minutes from June, July.
And July.
Did anybody have any changes to those?
Nope. Nope.
The chair would entertain a motion to approve the minutes from Wednesday, June 21st,
So moved.
Wednesday, July 19th, and Wednesday, July 26th.
So moved.
Motion's been made by Lynn. Seconded by Julie. All those in favor, roll call vote. Julie?
Yes.
Lynn?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes, and Brendan has stepped out of the meeting, so that carries 4-0. The only new business I really have for you folks is a correspondence from Mass Historical Commission. Bob, I will get one scanned out to you. It is just announcing the grant rounds for this year. If you folks want to brainstorm before our next meeting and see if there's anything you'd like to put forward for a project, we can talk about it at our October meeting.
Sure.
Applications are due, I think, in November, so I'll just throw that out there.
Did anything come up about the historic signs in Harwich Center? Remember they were taken down because they were,
Yeah, I haven't heard anything else on that,
Okay.
but I can follow up with administration on that. Is there anything else that
not that I can think of.
people have concerns on? Bob, anything?
No.
All right. If there's anything somebody wants on the next agenda, let me know,
Okay.
and we'll be scheduled for October.
Sounds good.
So I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made by
Second.
Julie, seconded by,
Give it to
I'll give it to Bob. Roll call, Julie,
Yes.
Lynn,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
and the chair votes in favor as well. We are adjourned. Thank you both very much for coming.